Chris Eubank Jr.'s boxing skill set is far superior to Conor Benn's. Chris Eubank Jr. for the big KO.
Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn, a fight fueled by family legacy, bad blood, and now a growing consensus among experts. With just days to go, the talk isn't about whether Benn can win, but whether he even belongs in the ring with Eubank. As the anticipation builds for Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn, the debate over who holds the edge is heating up. While both fighters come from legendary bloodlines, many in the boxing world believe that lineage alone won't be enough for Benn. Analysts and insiders are pointing to one clear advantage: Eubank Jr.'s overall boxing ability, and no one is more vocal about it than his own cousin, Harlem Eubank.
I think Chris is leaps and bounds ahead of Conor. His experience, the guys he's been in with, take away the weight, because Chris is obviously going to be disadvantaged in there with the weight as well. But just ability, boxing skill set is on a completely different level. So
Harlem isn't alone in this opinion. Many experts highlight Chris's years of high-level experience, facing world-class opponents like George Groves, Liam Smith, and James DeGale, tests that Benn has yet to face. In contrast, Benn is coming off a controversial period, still unproven at the highest level. The question remains, will raw aggression be enough, or will Eubank's superior skill set expose the gap that Harlem and others are warning about? For Conor Benn, this fight isn't just about rankings or legacy, it's personal. The rivalry between the Benn and Eubank families dates back to their fathers, Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank Senior, who clashed in two brutal wars in the 90s. The first ended in a dramatic stoppage win for Eubank Senior, while the rematch was ruled a controversial draw, one that Nigel Benn and his son believe should have gone the other way. Now, Conor sees this fight as unfinished family business.
It's only right that I do justice for the second fight. It was a draw that he should have won. Ultimately, I'm just, Dad, why have you left your dirty laundry to me, mate? Why have I got to close the show for you? Why have I got to handle your dirty business? I've got to do this for my dad, because he couldn't do it himself.
Brave man, Conor. Brave man.
Benn makes it clear, this fight isn't just about his career, it's about redemption for his father. He sees himself as the one who must settle the score, correcting what he believes was an injustice decades ago. But while Benn fights with emotion, Eubank Jr. has made it clear, this isn't about family pride for him. He's here to prove that the Eubank name still reigns supreme. Despite the fierce rivalry and bad blood between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, there was once a time when their paths crossed under very different circumstances. Years before the press conferences, the trash talk, and the fight negotiations, the two young fighters met in a gym. No tension, no animosity, just two sons of boxing legends on their own journeys. But even then, Eubank Jr. knew that a true friendship could never exist. From the moment he turned professional, the boxing world had already planted the seed of a future fight between the sons of Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank Senior. That lingering possibility was enough to keep them at arm's length.
If we weren't both fighters, absolutely. I could see myself being friends with him in a different life. When you both know that there is even the smallest possibility that at some point we may fight, a friendship can never be formed. And even though, when I met him in that gym 10, 12 years ago, I don't know how many years ago it was, I was obviously cool with him. We shook hands, we spoke, we would have spoken, but I can't be friends with him because you always get the talks. From when I first turned pro, imagine if Eubank Junior fought Conor Benn, Nigel Benn's son. That'll never happen. But there was always that talk. So when you hear that, you can't really become friends with
For Eubank Jr., it was never personal. It was just the nature of the sport. While their fathers had real animosity, the younger generation could have taken a different path. But in boxing, history repeats itself. The moment people started speculating about a potential clash, any chance of camaraderie was off the table. Now, instead of shaking hands in the gym, they'll be standing across from each other in the ring, carrying the weight of their last names and a rivalry that refuses to die. Chris Eubank Sr. has never been one to hold back his words, and as his son prepares to face Conor Benn, the former world champion has delivered an ominous warning. Eubank Senior, known for his unorthodox way of speaking and deep belief in his family's superiority, has made it clear this fight is about more than just skill or preparation. To him, it's a statement, a reckoning, and a battle that Conor Benn should be wary of stepping into.
What, 8 pounds?
You better watch out, dreadlocks. You better watch out, because we are come for you. Oh, sorry. It's my mother's tongue again. It comes through. You'd better watch out, because we're not playing. We're real, and we are a terror. And the procedure will be parliamentary. Rastafari.
Eubank Senior's words carry an almost theatrical weight, but behind them lies an unshakable confidence in his son. He believes that the Eubank name still holds dominance over the Benn family and that history will repeat itself. But whether this is an undeniable truth or just the echoes of an old rivalry remains to be seen. One thing is certain, Conor Benn isn't backing down, and on fight night, he'll be looking to silence the warnings, the history, and the name that has loomed over his family for decades. As fight night approaches, the boxing world is split on who will emerge victorious between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. While Benn brings relentless aggression and a deep personal motivation, Eubank Jr. has experience at a higher level and a more refined boxing skill set. Among those weighing in on the matchup is former world champion Josh Warrington, who believes the difference in styles will be the deciding factor.
Last one, Josh, Eubank Jr. Benn, who wins and why?
I'm just going to go for Eubank Jr. Just to box him.
Warrington's prediction aligns with what many analysts have been saying. Eubank Jr.'s technical ability and size advantage could neutralize Benn's aggressive approach. While Benn will likely try to turn the fight into a war, Warrington believes Eubank's superior boxing skills will allow him to control the action. Roy Jones Jr. is one of the most respected minds in boxing, a former pound-for-pound great who not only dominated multiple weight classes, but also transitioned into a highly regarded trainer. His insight carries weight, especially when it comes to Chris Eubank Jr., a fighter he personally trained for over a year. Jones played a key role in refining Eubank's style, helping him develop a more measured approach rather than relying purely on athleticism and volume punching. Under Jones, Eubank showcased improved footwork, better distance control, and a sharper defensive mindset. Eubank set to face Conor Benn. Jones offers an honest breakdown of the matchup, highlighting the significant challenges Benn will face against a bigger, more experienced opponent.
Very tough fight for Conor. Not saying he can't win it because one big left hook could change anything. But to me, his best chance are to try to land a big shot. If that don't happen, or if he lands it and it don't hurt Chris, then it's going to be pretty rough for him because Chris is definitely an improved fighter. You understand me? And like even the stuff he's doing now, he's going to continue to get better. But I think when he came down there with me for that year, it improved his foundation. You understand me? So it made him a better fighter. So he's going to be hard to beat for anybody, especially a guy that's smaller than him.
Jones doesn't completely count Benn out, but his assessment is clear. Benn's best and perhaps only real chance of victory is landing a game-changing punch. The issue: Eubank Jr. has proven to be durable, taking shots from bigger punchers like George Groves and Liam Smith without folding. Jones believes that if Benn can't hurt Eubank early, the size and skill disparity will take over, making it an uphill battle for the smaller fighter. Jones also credits Eubank's ongoing development, emphasizing that the improvements he made while training with him are still evident today. He sees Eubank as a fighter who continues to evolve, making him a difficult challenge for anyone, especially for someone moving up in weight like Benn. Ultimately, Jones paints a picture of a fight where Benn's aggression and power must overcome a more polished, battle-tested opponent. If not, Eubank Jr. will likely take over and prove once again why he remains a level above Benn. Ricky Hatton knows exactly what it takes to step into the ring at the highest level. As a former two-weight world champion who fought some of the best in history, including Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, Hatton's perspective on the sport is deeply respected. Now, as the fight between Chris Eubank and Conor Benn draws closer, Hatton weighs in on the discussion, breaking down why many in the boxing world are favoring Eubank Jr. The experience gap is undeniable. Eubank Jr. has faced world-level opposition, going the distance with Billy Joe Saunders early in his career, sharing the ring with elite fighters like George Groves, and proving his resilience in brutal wars. Meanwhile, Conor Benn has yet to fight anyone of that caliber, and on top of that, he's moving up significantly in weight to take on the naturally bigger man. The size, the experience, and the level of competition all point toward an uphill battle for Benn. At least, that's the argument many are making, and Hatton is no exception.
A lot of people are favouring, seems lately at the minute, favouring Eubank, aren't they? And I get why they've done it, because I mean, let's have it right. Conor's not boxed anyone near Chris's potential. And when you think who Chris has beaten Billy Joe Saunders, at that level, I mean, that's at his own weight. So to jump up 2 weights and to fight someone like Chris, it is a massive. I'm quite, I'm quite close to, to Nigel and Conor, and I think in his last couple of fights he's not looked quite as explosive as he previously has done. But in fact, that he's not boiling down, he's moving up in weight.
Hatton isn't just stating the obvious, he's outlining the steep challenge that history has shown time and time again. Moving up in weight against an elite opponent is no easy task, and many great fighters have struggled when making that leap. Even legends like Amir Khan and Kell Brook found themselves outgunned when they stepped up against bigger opponents in the past. For Benn, this isn't just about technique or power, it's about whether he can carry his explosiveness and effectiveness against a naturally stronger, more tested fighter. Hatton points out that in Benn's recent fights, he hasn't looked as explosive as he once did, raising questions about whether he's truly at his peak. But history also shows that upsets happen. If Benn can defy the odds and pull off the victory, it would be one of the most stunning results in British boxing history, avenging his father's rivalry and proving that he belongs on the elite stage. The stakes couldn't be higher, and Hatton's words only add to the magnitude of what Benn is up against. Tensions between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn have been boiling for years, fueled by their father's legendary rivalry and their own personal animosity. Every face-off, every press conference, and every interview has only added more fire to the grudge match. But at their latest press conference, things took an unexpected and bizarre turn. What started as the usual verbal exchanges quickly escalated when Eubank Jr., never one to back down from mind games, took things to another level, literally slapping Benn with an egg in front of the cameras. The move stunned everyone in the room, turning an already heated event into absolute chaos.
It's Benn versus Eubank. The limit 160 pounds. The family feud goes on.
Oh, tempers flaring there.
I got that one wrong, didn't I? Sorry to say I did tell you before it.
He called that one, and it really has erupted down here on the stage.
That's absolutely...
This wasn't just an over-the-top stunt, this was classic Eubank Jr., a master of psychological warfare. From mocking Benn's weight struggles to questioning his credibility as a fighter, Eubank Jr. has been relentlessly playing mind games in the lead-up to this bout. But physically humiliating Benn in such a way, that takes it to another level. For Benn, this was more than just an insult, it was personal. He spent years trying to step out of his father's shadow and be taken seriously as an elite fighter. Now, after being egged on, literally, by Eubank, the bad blood between them has reached its peak. With emotions running high and both fighters refusing to back down, this fight isn't just about winning, it's about settling a score. Carl Froch, a man who knows exactly how to handle high-stakes emotional moments, weighs in on the egg incident, analyzing how Eubank Jr. pulled it off and what Benn's reaction should have been. For Froch, this isn't just about the physical act of slapping someone with an egg, it's about the psychological tactics at play and how much respect one fighter should demand from the other.
Chris Eubank's looking at Conor Benn, he's talking to him, he's thinking to himself, when do I splat this egg around the side of his head? When do I do it? How do I do it? Do I put it in his face? Do I put it on his head? Is he going to see me? Because if Conor would have seen him, he might have blocked it and check hooked him. But it was quick. He distracted Conor by saying, what did you say? Then he reached for the egg and he clattered him right around the side of the back of the ear and the face. And the egg yolk went everywhere. A lot of the yolk missed him, so it wasn't that embarrassing where he's dribbling with egg yolk. It was a bit of a piss take. It was a fucking liberty. If he'd done that to me, no security, I'd have waited. I'd have let the security go and say, look, I'm calm, I'm all good. Leave me alone. Okay, let me breathe, let me get my breath. And then I'd have charged at him. One way or another, I'd have got to him. Whether I'd have waited outside for him, I'd have had my day. Nobody eggs me in the face in public and gets away with it. I saw him at the press conference on Thursday, actually. Obviously, I went to see him all on Wednesday, but they had the press conference Thursday and they came together and I thought, Conor Benn's got sort of arm's reach on me. He could have, I'd have probably had him there.
Froch's reaction is an honest and raw take on the situation, and it speaks volumes about how the two fighters, Eubank Jr. and Benn, approach the mind games that come with building a fight. For Froch, had he been in Benn's shoes, he wouldn't have taken the egg incident lying down. While Benn managed to stay composed in the moment, Froch suggests he would have responded differently, ready to charge at Eubank Jr. after the humiliation. Frosh's comment about getting his day with Eubank Jr. reflects the deeply ingrained pride of a fighter who isn't willing to let any disrespect slide. The underlying message? In the heat of a personal rivalry like this, the physical and mental toll is more than just what happens in the ring. It's about how each fighter responds to the mental warfare outside of it. Ben's decision not to retaliate in the heat of the moment may have cost him in the short term, but the buildup has only intensified the drama, and when they finally meet in the ring, the emotional stakes will be higher than ever. Frosh also adds an interesting perspective on how Ben could have used his physical advantage, his reach, to potentially even up the score with Eubank. That small window where Ben could have taken action speaks to the unpredictability of these press events, where every little move can shift the dynamic of the fight, mentally and physically. For Ben, this wasn't just an embarrassing moment, it was personal. He wasted no time responding, and his anger erupted in a brutal way.
Is the eye okay?
Is that
eye okay?
He slaps like a.
What happened there at the face-off?
I'm not too sure, but that's the only shot he's getting off me, silly prick.
Do you think Ben should
on site next time, Conor?
Of course it is. It's always on
What's
site.
going to
happen? He's going to get chinned.
Do you think Ben should on you about it, Conor?
He's a little slag.
Ben's reaction was swift and filled with raw emotion. Calling Eubank Jr. a little slut and vowing he was going to be filled in shows just how far this rivalry has gone. It's no longer about just the fight, it's about the personal disrespect that has been building for years. The egg slap was the straw that broke the camel's back, and Ben's fiery response made it clear that he won't let anything slide when it comes to Eubank Jr. Ben has always been someone to control his emotions, but this moment stripped that facade away. His instinct was to retaliate, to show Eubank Jr. that he wouldn't be humiliated without consequences. This response only deepens the hatred between them, and fans are now more certain than ever that when these two finally collide in the ring, it won't be just a fight, it'll be a battle of pride, with each fighter desperate to prove who is the real alpha. As the hype surrounding the Chris Eubank Jr. vs. Conor Benn fight continues to intensify, opinions from former and current fighters are flooding in. Matty Harris, a respected figure in the boxing world, is among those weighing in on the matchup. Known for his candid and honest opinions, Harris doesn't hold back when it comes to analyzing Eubank Jr.'s chances. While he acknowledges Eubank Jr.'s undeniable skill, he also brings up some key factors that could influence the outcome of the fight.
I think he can, yeah. Depends how he makes a weight. I think him boiling himself down and sweating out the weight and he already looks tight at the weight anyway. That could affect his punch resistance. Plus, he's not getting any younger. But I think he's definitely got the skills to do it. He definitely does, and he has boxed at a much higher level than Conor Benn.
Harris's breakdown of the fight brings up an important concern: Eubank Jr.'s ability to make weight. As Harris points out, the process of cutting weight could potentially affect Eubank Jr.'s punch resistance, which is crucial in a fight like this. The weight cut and its impact on his body could be a significant factor in the fight, especially when facing someone like Conor Benn, who is known for his explosiveness and power. However, Harris remains confident in Eubank Jr.'s abilities, highlighting his superior skill set and experience at a higher level of competition. Despite the potential drawbacks from making weight, Harris believes that Eubank's experience and technical ability will still give him the edge over Benn. The real question now is whether Eubank Jr. can maintain his form and resistance through the weight cut, or if Benn's speed and agility could capitalize on any vulnerabilities that emerge. As the clock ticks down toward fight night, all eyes will be on Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn as they step into the ring to settle a personal, family-fueled rivalry that has been years in the making. The question still looms: can Benn overcome his size disadvantage and prove that his raw power and aggression are enough to topple the more experienced and skillful Eubank Jr.? While Eubank Jr. has proven himself against some of the best in the business, the weight cut may open a window of opportunity for Benn, especially if the weight drain affects Eubank Jr.'s punch resistance. But despite these potential vulnerabilities, it's clear that Eubank's skill, experience, and tactical approach give him a solid edge heading into this bout. The stakes have never been higher, and both fighters have their own personal demons to settle. Will Eubank Jr.'s superior boxing skills and experience dominate, or will Benn's hunger for redemption and a chance to avenge his father's rivalry be enough to pull off the upset? What do you think? Will Eubank Jr.'s experience and technical prowess win the day, or is Conor Benn ready to silence the doubters and take the fight to another level? Drop your predictions in the comments below.